It's really fun how my shirt and my hair and the luggage behind me are all the same pink. Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Kayla, and this week, Chris is not joining me because let's be honest, it's summertime. He travels more than I do, and I travel a lot. Anyways, this week, I decided to talk on my little solo episode here something that Chris has no experience with, and that is traveling for concerts. So, to give you some context, I am an avid concert goer. I actually recently discovered an app, I think it's called Concert Archives, where you can add in concerts that you've been to and it will populate the set list and show you what artists you've seen the most times. It's really cool. If you're into concerts, you definitely should download it and play around, maybe add me if you know how to do that. It looks like it's like a social media app of sorts. Anyways, I love concerts. I love music. It is a thing that since 2020 I've really prioritized. I went to concerts a lot prior to 2020, but I think that post 2020 I have more grown-up money. That being said, I think that there has been a sort of shift in the US specifically about going to concerts and the monopoly that Ticketmaster has in this country specifically between Ticketmaster and Live Nation, and how incredibly expensive it is to go to concerts. So to overshare a little bit, in 2022, I believe it was, I tried to get tickets to see Olivia Rodrigo on her first tour, and she was doing very small venues. I wasn't successful in getting the tickets, and Rebecca, who's previously been on the podcast, came to visit anyways. I was living in San Antonio at the time, and the tickets I was trying to get were for Austin. I said, well, come visit anyways. We'll go have a good time in Austin, and maybe we'll get resale tickets last minute. And we spent that day watching ticket prices. They lowered a little bit, and ultimately I ended up spending $500 a ticket for fifth row seats. And we had an amazing time, and I regret none of it. And it was so much fun. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago here in Philadelphia, Olivia Rodrigo was in town, and I said, maybe I'll get a resale ticket, or maybe I'll get day of tickets, because we'll get to that. But I have successfully done that before too. These tickets were not going down in price. I was stalking. There's a Facebook group that I'm in, and I was watching it, and people were like, oh, I have an extra ticket for tonight. And I'm like, oh, perfect. I only need one ticket. Brian doesn't want to go. I don't really know people in Philadelphia. No one, I don't have anyone to go with. So just one ticket is fine for me. These tickets were going for thousands of dollars for 200 level seats. These are upper bowl. These are not even lower bowl seats. And I thought as we got closer that my odds were going to be higher of getting a ticket. No, the tickets that were left were $3,000 to $6,000, and that hurt. And so I've just been sort of reflecting on that over the last couple of weeks. And I personally have traveled to the United States to go to concerts. My mom is my concert buddy. She and I have very similar taste in music. We're actually going to see New Kids on the Block on Saturday. She's coming to visit before we go on a big trip. And she said, New Kids on the Block tickets are only $25. Let's go. So we're going to go see New Kids on the Block. But she and I last year flew out to New York City and saw the Jonas Brothers at Yankee Stadium. She had never been to New York City before. I thought this was a perfect opportunity for her to go experience the city, us to see the Jonas Brothers, who I would say is the band that she and I bond the most over. We both love the Jonas Brothers. So we did that. We planned a trip. I flew from San Antonio. She flew from Seattle. We spent the weekend in Brooklyn. We went and, did all the tourist stuff in New York, had a great time. And then we went to a bunch of Broadway shows. And then we went and saw the Jonas Brothers at Yankee Stadium. She was taking a nap a couple hours before the concert. And I was on Ticketmaster refreshing because we had pretty good seats. They weren't bad seats. But I managed to get day of floor seats at face value. And I lost my ever loving mind. I got so excited. I actually ended up gifting our previous tickets. Like I went up into the like upper, it's not upper bowl because it was at Yankee Stadium, but like the a higher level. And I found a girl and her daughter or little sister or something. And I said, hey, do you want these better seats? And they took our seats because I couldn't resell mine. So that was like the most like out of the way travel I'd ever done for a concert. However, I've also flown back to Seattle specifically to go to a show. When Taylor Swift was doing the first round of Eras tour, I actually went to Seattle to see that show. Rebecca, who again, she's traveled to me to go. We went and saw Olivia Rodrigo. She was actually going to come to Seattle to go see Taylor Swift. And then the next night was going to be Paramore. And then Paramore ultimately ended up getting canceled. Rebecca ended up not being able to go. It was a whole thing. But the point is, we traveled for that show. But that was like going home to visit family. I was there for a couple of weeks. It was a great time. I had a wonderful time. Rebecca has since seen both Paramore and Taylor Swift. She went a couple weeks ago. She's now living in Germany, and she was able to see them in Germany, which again is, further driving this point of like resale tickets in other countries are much less expensive. She paid $300 a ticket for pretty good seats. And here in the United States, those seats would have gone for thousands of dollars and people would have paid it because that's the society that we live in. So I traveled to see the Jonas Brothers. I traveled out of state twice last year to see the Jonas Brothers. I also went up to Austin to see them and then saw them in San Antonio. But I recently tried to get both Gracie Abrams and Sabrina Carpenter tickets, which if you don't know who they are, Gracie Abrams opened for Taylor Swift on the first leg of Eras tour. I saw her in Seattle opening for Taylor Swift. And then Sabrina Carpenter, I think most people at this point know who Sabrina Carpenter is. Like she's like sort of blown up at this point. She also had opened for Taylor Swift. I tried to get tickets to see them in Philadelphia. I was like, I could do New York City. Like I'm close enough to places. And it was impossible to get tickets. And resale is already so high on these tickets. And they just like the on sale was like a month ago. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try to do like I did with the Jonas Brothers and get day of tickets. Like I know it's possible. And it didn't happen with Olivia Rodrigo, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen potentially with Gracie Abrams or Sabrina Carpenter. But then Gracie Abrams announced her international tour that she was going to Europe. And so I texted Rebecca and I said, are we going to go see Gracie Abrams? Send her the list. We decided we're going to do it. And when I tell you these seats, first of all, no competition. There were like maybe 100 people in front of me in line at Ticketmaster. Second of all, these prices are so reasonable. I was originally trying to buy tickets in Dublin, but I got to check out and I couldn't get the card payment to process because I didn't have an Irish address. That being said, these tickets were like $60, like $60 for decent seats. The way the arena was like laid out was that you didn't really get to pick the specific seats that you were in. It was just you'd be assigned seats. You either were on the floor in VIP, which was like $200, or it was 65, I believe, for being up in the bowl. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll get Manchester tickets instead. My Manchester tickets, when converted to US dollars, were like $150 for good seats in the lower bowl. And again, VIP there was like 200 pounds. So whatever that would translate to in US dollars. So I was excited. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go to the UK, like see some friends because I know people that live there and, just get to like have a good time next year. And then a couple of days later, Sabrina Carpenter announced her European tour. And she's going to be in the UK the same exact time as Gracie Abrams. So again, I signed up for the pre-sale. This one I knew was going to be more competitive than Gracie Abrams because Sabrina Carpenter's been around a little bit longer. She's blown up a lot recently between Espresso and Please, Please, Please. Like she's the pop girly of the summer, right? There's a couple of them, but I definitely think she's one of them. So I was trying not to get overly excited. I did specifically pick a venue that I knew wasn't going to be as popular in the UK. So like she's going to London and Manchester, and I knew those were going to be the two like big ones. But then she was going other places too. So I picked a not Manchester or London location. 75 people in front of me in line. Rebecca, on the other hand, was also trying to get this pre-sale, and she had like 2,000 people ahead of her in line. So like there was competition for seats, but I got almost identical seats to Sabrina Carpenter that I got for Gracie Abrams. And all in all, including ticket insurance, we paid $300, 300 US dollars for both tickets. And one of those tickets, face value in the United States, would have cost us the same, if not more. And it's just like mind blowing to me that I can travel to Europe, go see these artists, have, a great time, spend a week there, fly home. And I'm coming from, the Northeast. So getting there is a lot shorter of a flight. It's not going to be as expensive of a flight. I have lots of options for getting out of the country in terms of airports. Like, it's just, why wouldn't I do it? Right? To me, it seems like a no-brainer, especially when you factor in the fact that Sabrina Carpenter tickets are probably going to be $1,000 or more for resale versus the 150 that I just paid. Like, why wouldn't I? I can fly to and from Europe and pay for accommodations for less than I would pay resale in this country. And I'm not giving StubHub or SeatGeek or any of those companies that I think honestly have shady practices my money. I think it's great. I'm really excited. I can't wait to do a podcast episode about, the other side of it, like having gone to the concert and spending the time in the UK. But it's just, this is the direction that I think we're heading. I think that there's going to be more international travel to go to concerts if things don't change with Ticketmaster and Live Nation and the monopoly that they have and the scalping of tickets and the bots. And, if you are a concert girly or boy, uh, you know what I mean. It's just disheartening as a avid music lover to see the prices of concert tickets, because not only that, but then the price that someone who's first in line versus the price for someone who's 1,000th in line, it's a different price because it's dynamically priced. And so suddenly tickets are more expensive than they were when they first went on sale because, oh, well, Ticketmaster didn't realize how much people were going to want to go see the show. And so now they've raised the price a bunch. Like, it's bullshit. Let's be honest. It's all bullshit. Fuck Ticketmaster. And it is Ticketmaster in the UK. Like, it's still the same beast, but they have way better regulations in the UK. So I can actually get tickets and, again, not have all of the bots and all of the scalpers buying up all the seats. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. My point is, traveling for concerts is a lot of fun. It's a thing that you can do. It really can be less expensive. If you're following your favorite artists on social media, you see when they're talking about going on these tours, they're usually doing a pre-sale. And it really, I don't know, it's a fun adventure. Like, I'm really excited. It's also over Brian's birthday, so he's going to fly with me. We'll do some birthday celebrations. We'll have 2 concerts to go to that he will not be attending because he has no desire to see either one of them, which is fine. I'll get to see Rebecca. Like, it's a win-win for me. Plus, I can do all of my work remotely, so I'm not needing to like take time off to go on this trip, which is a privilege that I have, and I recognize that that is not the case for most people. But I'm just really excited, and I would love to hear from all of you. And if this is something you've thought about doing, if this is something you have done, I always think about, and I know we've talked about this in a previous episode, but I always think about the people who follow Dave Matthews Band. Like, I feel like first it was like Grateful Dead, and then it was Dave Matthews, like the people who like go from concert to concert. And I remember I saw Sugar Ray and Matchbox 20 when I was in like middle school or high school, and Maroon 5 was opening for them, and nobody knew who Maroon 5 was. And I remember Adam Levine like pointing out somebody in the front area and saying, "Oh my gosh, I've seen you like on multiple shows and they were holding like a Maroon 5 sign. And like he was just talking about how grateful he was for their support. And that was the first time I'd ever realized that like people actually go like follow their favorite bands and like go to more than one show. And I will say it's not as much fun as you think it is to go to more than one show, but it is fun to like go to a destination and like make the concert part of the trip. Like I know there's a lot of people going to New Orleans and Vancouver in the next couple of months, again, for Taylor Swift, because I think Taylor Swift has really brought this to the forefront of like traveling for a concert, because a lot of people couldn't get tickets in the place that they live, and they could get tickets somewhere else, or like they had a friend that lived in a different state that successfully got the tickets. Like I was going to go see Taylor Swift in Vegas because I had friends in Vegas that had tickets, and they had intentionally gotten a ticket for me, and then life happened and I ended up not going. My point is, go, do it. If you have an opportunity to see a band that you like and it's not in the place that you live in, go do it. It's so much fun. Make a long weekend out of it, or a longer trip. You know, if you're traveling internationally, maybe make a week out of it, a couple weeks, like whatever that looks like for you, whatever you're most comfortable with. But traveling for a show is a lot of fun. I think that it really is it's a different experience than just going on vacation to a place or just going to a concert at night. So I want to know all about your trips. If you've traveled for a concert, who it was, did you have a good time? Did you see them more than once on that tour? All of those things. Tell me. I want to hear about it. But until next time, I hope that you are all having a wonderful summer, and let's just go. Okay, now I can go take a nap.